How goes the family? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you guys having a great and exceptional day. Doing great job. Second time in the last 2 weeks going live on a Wednesday. So getting better. We're getting these lives done much quicker and during the middle of the week and not on the weekends. One thing I'm proud of myself, I've been trying to be way more productive than I usually used to be. And main thing is, and I remember one gentleman talked about this. His name's Dinah Samir. And I remember he talked about how I think this is like a year before the pandemic or in the beginning of the pandemic of 2020. He talked about basically going to bed earlier, waking up earlier. He became an entrepreneur, so he didn't have a set working schedule, and meditating in the morning and things of that nature. He felt like he was way more at ease, calm, and he was way more productive. And that's the one thing. Like, I've been up since 5:30 this morning, and that's one thing I've noticed about myself is on days like today, even though I might, like right after this, I'm going to go to bed. I'm way more productive. I get way more things done, and I'm much more pleasant to be around because I feel like when I go to bed late and wake up late, I feel like I'm more crankier. Number one, then two, I feel like I don't get as much done, and then number three, there's nothing going on at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning that you know make there's a reason for me to be up on my cell phone on social media and because all my creative juices are done by that time of night. So there's no point of me being up. So that's one thing I can say. So, but anyways, this is the 12th edition of today's forecast. We're all gonna die. If you don't know what it is, basically it's me mocking the media because that's what I'm basically into nowadays because I just think half of the stuff they put out there is just hilarious. Excuse me, or as I like to call it, a distraction. Like, hey, I've talked about the Jada Pinkett and Will Smith thing. That is a distraction. That's basically comedy at this point. I always say they're a great example of people who have a great living, or do all this great stuff, and yet and still a lot of times they're miserable as can be. And me personally, I laugh at these situations. So I'll leave it at that. But anyways, so this is the 12th edition of today's forecast. We're all gonna die, and I'm going to make fun of the media and the articles that are out here, and I'm going to leave it at that. So I'm going to start with politics because I think both sides are full of crap, and I don't even know how any self-respecting person considers themselves a Democrat or Republican in today's world. But I'll leave it at that. That's just my personal opinion. I'm a businessman, so I think about numbers, facts, and figures, not one-off bumper sticker politic crap. It's like it doesn't do anything for me. We live in a time now where regular, everyday working people see people who aren't citizens of the United States, people who can't speak English in the United States, or they can barely speak English in the United States, or it's become more common to be being a nation of English as the second language. Is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. But we're living in a time where we see people who cannot vote own more real estate, own more businesses because of the mindset and the economic values, not just family values, but the economic values that they have and they share and display. So, with that being said, that's the only politics that matter because you see more generations of people who can write checks and not have to worry about cashing votes. And that's the ultimate power in a capitalist society, regardless who's in the White House, governor's house, mayor's house, regardless who's running Congress. But all these stupid distractions that get put out there in the media, regardless if the Democrats are running the House or the Republicans are running a House, they do a great job of everyday working people to get amped up as much. It's like me getting amped up over the Speaker of the House is the same as me getting amped up over a football game. I don't watch sports, so it means nothing to me. Okay, so it's the same thing about the Speaker of the House of Congress or a state legislature. But like I said, this I'm reading this purely out of mocking. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care if you don't vote. It is what it is. Only thing I care about is what's your economics. I've had to tell people this. I don't care about your politics. I need to know about your economics. Meaning, do you speak the language of how I'm going to get access to capital? Because I speak the language of how you're going to get access to capital. So therefore, if you don't speak that language, then we got nothing to talk about. Leave it at that. Okay, so new Speaker of the House. I just found out his name today because that's how much I care. His name is Mike Johnson. He's a Republican, and he's a rookie leader in painting deep red conservative lines on the blank page of his career in top level politics, staking out risky showdowns with Democrats and even Senate Republicans. He's debating over Israel funding that could either build his power base or fracture his authority from the start. Because here's the thing, and I'm not going to speak on the conflict in Israel and Palestine because I don't know enough about it to even speak on that matter. So I'm leaving it at that. But I will say with this gentleman, yeah, you're gonna go in there and make all these brave speeches. You're gonna talk all this trash and all that great stuff. But guess what? Um, you still gotta get reelected. Number one, and two, somebody could always outspend you your next election, and then you could lose your seat. So because this time reminds me of the time when Obama was the president of the United States of America. Whether you liked him or hated him, it's irrelevant what I'm about to say. But I remember that's when the Tea Party came out. All these Tea Party patriots came out, and they were just as annoying as the Trump supporters. And just as annoying as Democratic supporters at this point. So like I said, I think they're all full of it. But I remember there was a time when they were all out and they had their "Don't Tread on Me" flags all over the place. It was the funniest thing ever. We went from that to Trump stickers and "Make America Great Again." Um, so you and then you got people who were Tea Party people who got elected and they were going to change everything and change the system and bliggity blah blah blah. This is 2008, 9, 10 time frame. Okay, they took over the Congress, then they took over the Senate, and they were going to change everything in the United States of America. Blah blah blah. I remember all this momentum, and yet and still in 2023, going into 2024, regular everyday working people, because they lack the economic fortitude, mindset to say, hey, how am I going to make money outside of my everyday job? How am I how am I investing my money? Do I have any life insurance policies? Do I own a business? Do I own real estate? Am I putting myself in a position where I can have more access to capital by owning a business, having business credit, owning a property, having access to be able to take equity out of that property, get a HELOC loan? These are the things that make the U.S. economy go round and round and round, baby. This is what makes America a great country to live in, because a lot of countries you can't get a credit card. A lot of countries you can't get access to capital, and that's why people come here, because those countries, especially third world nations, don't have those options for you. But once again, neither party is going to talk like this because they have to give these nonsense speeches that make people feel good and warm and fuzzy inside, because people want to be entertained. a long story short, I remember, um, the Senate Majority Leader and the House Speaker. They made all these speeches, they passed all these bills, but yet and still, everyday working people still have to pay their bills, whether it's rent or mortgage. They have car payments, student loans are out of out of control. People have to pay the student loans back now. Cost of living has gone up tremendously, regardless if it was um, Obama, Trump, or Biden. Um, so I say these things because I've lived through. I'm at 40 years old now. I've lived through all of these different administrations. At 40 years old, I've lived through all of these people who've run Congress. I've lived through being from Virginia. I've lived through Republican and Democratic governors and people having a state legislature and all that crap. People having the local government and all that crap. Nothing changes. Because see, here's the thing: during this time, the time frame that I'm talking about, the Obama era to now, I've worked hard to increase my value, and therefore, by increasing my value, I've increased my income. I've worked hard to even make myself healthier. So these are the values that I hold dear. I've worked hard to ensure that I get more access to capital via my business credit, via the real estate I own, being able to qualify for certain small business administration loans. These are the things that matter because without the capital, all this talking and yelling on the internet don't mean a freaking thing. And I just have to say it like that. But once again, whether it's Nancy Pelosi or this new gentleman, they're not going to speak that language. And these people, even if they don't come from well-to-do, they're in the circle. Once you are in any sort of public office, you are in the circle of the well-to-do society, and the kind of circles that you're surrounded by, regardless of your party, they speak the language of economics. And the people that are the people who lobby them, regardless if they're Democrats or Republicans, they speak the language of money and power. They're not all this other minutia that they talk about outside of what I just said in regards to money and power. That is nothing but entertainment at the end of the day. But people buy into it because people love to be entertained. I always say, hey, if I was on here talking like I was a street dude, which I'm not, and I if I was on here talking strictly about entertainment and what rappers are doing, what singers are doing, comedians are doing, if I was starting online beefs, I know I'd get way more views because I'd be considered to be way more entertaining and way more exciting. Or if I was a comedian, I would get way more views. But I'm not. I'm a regular dude, just likes to do some regular things. I give my perspective on certain specific subject matters, and I move on with my life. That's what it is because this ain't my bread and butter. This is just a hobby that I like. Would I like to make me some more money and whatnot? Absolutely. But this is who I am, and I have to be true to myself. I can't be somebody that I'm not. You know, I'm good. So that's it. I just wanted to talk about that individual because today's forecast, we're all going to die. Mike Johnson is running Congress, so it's the end of the freaking world. They said it was the end of the world when, Mitch McConnell became the Senate Majority Leader. They said it was the end of the world when Trump became president. It said it was the end of the world when Biden became president, Obama became president, Bush became president. We're still here, family. We're still here. And the only thing I could say that's changed tremendously, especially like since the pandemic as a whole. So we're talking about both presidents here. So that's why I can just say that I've noticed that the crime rate has gone up over the last 5 years. The homeless population has gone up over the last 5 years. So this is regardless of who's in the White House, regardless of who's running Congress, regardless of who your mayor is or your governor is or your local legislatures are. The homeless rate and the crime rate has gone up tremendously, and this isn't a laughing matter. This is facts. And regardless of who's sitting in these political seats, haven't talked about any specific measures on how they're going to curb these things. And it's like if I could just talk about a specific social issue, those are the things that are happening. Because like I said, these people either they come from money or they didn't come from money. They're now making a great significant living to the point where they're in the circles of the well-to-do, of the 1% of this nation, and they're having a different discussion about how they're going to get access to capital, how they're going to own assets, and they're not going to have these discussions with us, regular working people, because um, they know that, hey, we want to be a part of the club, but then two, they know that that would be a distraction. That wouldn't be a distraction. That would be actually be something that people want to hear about. That's why something like EYL University, Black Business School, Brotherhood University, and other institutions like that, regardless of who anybody's race or gender, have gotten way more popular because this is the information we want to hear about how we get access to capital. What are the best investments? Um, how can we get more? How can we scale our businesses up? How can we ensure that we have a great retirement as a working person? How can we get our kids involved and our community involved in these specific subject matters in regards to financial literacy and financial intelligence? These are the things that matter to people the most, and that's why a lot of people who just like to be loud and make a lot of noise but not saying nothing, or as that old saying goes, I hear you talking but you ain't said nothing. Those people are being filtered out tremendously because people are like, look, man, I've heard these nice speeches. We don't need to hear any more civil rights speeches. We don't need to hear. We just need to pray and leave it alone. And I'm not a praying man. If you are, I respect that. I'm not a religious person or a spiritual person. If you are, I respect that. But I will say that when I'm having an intellectual discussion about a specific subject matter, I want to hear the economics behind it. I don't want to hear anything else, because if the moment I hear you defer and deflect away from the subject matter of, hey, this is how we're gonna get this money, you've lost me. Because therefore you might as well be Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC. You've lost me, and you're doing a tremendous job of distracting me. So, but I digress. All right, because like I said, especially at this point in my life, that's the last thing I need is more and more distractions. I'm good. I'm so good. I don't need it. But once again, I digress. I leave it at that. All right, let me do this. No, it's one thing. Going to get through these articles fairly quickly. All right. There we go. Hold on a second. Okay, what do we got? So this is another article that's so I'm from the DMV area, and all I know is, regardless of what people may say, Washington D.C. is like any other major city in America. Basically, it's been completely gentrified. Um, as far as the crime rate goes, it's going to continuously go up because the crime rate is the worst in the most expensive cities in the United States of America. But two, um, when you have all these rich people who are or people, we have all these people that are at the top, and a larger growing number of people on the bottom, you make it easier for people to commit certain crimes. Do I advocate for people committing certain crimes? Absolutely not. I'm definitely not going to ever advocate for anything of that nature. But I will say that a city like DC, um, or any other major, I mean, it could be Houston, Texas, Dallas, Texas, it could be Austin, Texas, it could be Miami, Florida, Orlando, Florida. You know, usually there's higher crime in major cities because the population is higher. You know, two, usually higher crime happens in major cities because the people who it happens to, they catch people slipping. I mean, hey, I got caught slipping when I was in Oakland, California. Somebody busted into my rental car and they took my book bag. Luckily, the only the things I had, everything I had in there was replaceable. And at most, the amount of money that I lost with that was $130 because I had two wireless headphones that were cheap, and I had a tablet that was cheap that was in my book bag. Altogether, maybe $140 altogether. But crime is going to happen regardless of where you live at, regardless of who's in office. Always remember that. Okay. But there's been an uptick in carjackings in Washington D.C. and car theft in Washington D.C. Like I'm about to go to Los Angeles, and that's the only thing I'm worried about is somebody busting into my rental car. When I went to Atlanta, that's the number one thing I was worried about. But I will say with all sincerity that I know not to leave anything in my car, um, and go from there. But you never know. Might run into a crazy crackhead. You just never know. So it's just something we all have to be cognizant of at the end of the day. Okay. But I digress. 'Cause a 12-year-old faces a judge for a fatal DC carjacking attempt after his mother turns him in. I'm glad the mother turned him in because when you commit the crime, it's like Judge Mathis. If you ever seen this show, he said that his mother will call the police on him all the time when he was committing crimes because he wasn't listening to her anymore. Unfortunately, this 12-year-old, there's images of him being shared by DC police as a person of interest wanted for fleeing the scene of a fatal attempting carjacking this past weekend. Other child involved, 12-year-old alleged accomplice, was shot and killed by the DC police, and believe was targeted by two youths. The kid who was shot and killed has already been identified as 13-year-old Bernard Tony Jr. They said he was a smart and talented student who created personal relationships not only with his schoolmates but also with many of the staff at Kelly Miller's reads part of a school letter sent by the 13-year-old's principal on Monday. And it's sad. Like I said, don't get me wrong. It's sad that something like that happens, but you know, I'm no saint, but I know if I ever saw the police when I was younger to just stand still and do what I was told. Like I said, this was actually considered a righteous shoot. This wasn't police brutality, because I'll call out police brutality because there's no profession in the world where you got 100% good people. Every profession in this world, there's bad people because you got bad people everywhere. So regardless of the race, gender, all that good stuff. Um, but like I said, it's sad, and I don't get to DC as much as I used to. I mean, obviously I went last weekend because I wanted to see last Friday because I wanted to see Godfrey. I haven't seen him since 2019, so it was an awesome thing. But no matter what city you go to, you got to be on your P's and Q's. And I'm not afraid to go. Like, great example, New York City. I'm not afraid to go to New York City, but I know I'd want to go there with some people just in case something pops off. You know, um, I'm going to LA soon, but you just never know. But the difference is between New York City and LA. LA is a driver-friendly city compared to New York City. I can find parking in LA. The streets aren't as crazy to navigate through in Los Angeles compared to New York City. So that's just what it is at the end of the day. So anyways, unfortunately, Uber driver gets carjacked by three juveniles in Southeast DC. Um, and it's crazy because when I went to DC, I took an Uber to get over there from the Virginia side, and I had no issues. But trying to get a Uber leaving DC, Lord have mercy, I think I almost waited an hour. But it was kind of worked out because then Godfrey came out, got to see him, got to see the guy who hosted the show, and then I got to see Akeem. That's his name. Yeah. So great show. If you ever get a chance, see um, Godfrey perform as a comedian. He's a great guy. He had me in tears laughing my butt off. But police are investigating after an Uber driver reported being carjacked by three juveniles. According to the police report, the Uber driver was sitting in his car at the 3100 block of Lindale Place Southeast when he saw three juveniles ranging in age from 11 to 15 years old standing on a corner. Second witness told police they also saw the teens in the area before the carjacking took place. The victim says the trio came up to him and demanded his car. He said one of the suspects hit him in the face and acted as though they had a firearm in their waistband. The suspect then reportedly took the victim to get out of the car or I will shoot you. Now, like I said, once again, I'm not condoning this behavior, but the first time I remember hearing about a situation happening with an Uber driver getting assaulted. I'll say assaulted. It was this actual guy. I think it was in San Diego, California, and there was this young guy. He was really drunk, and he made the Uber driver was smart enough to record him, but this guy was drunk, and I guess I don't know if he was having an argument. Well, I don't know. I know because the video shows that him and Uber driver were going back and forth, and next thing I know, I see him punching the Uber driver in his face. So of course the guy's Uber account got terminated because it's a privilege, not a right to be able to have these services. But then number two, the guy was like a big executive for like a fast food chain. I believe it was Taco Bell, but he ended up getting fired. Just like that woman, the woman who recorded the guy that was fishing and she was harassing him down in Georgia, saying he didn't live. The lake was for people who lived there, and he's like, "Yeah, I live in this house in this neighborhood." And she's like, "No, you're lying." And then she got fired from her job for harassing this man. Same thing for the woman in a park in New York City, lying to the police, saying that a guy was doing something illegal to her when he was recording the whole thing and was like, "Yeah, call the police." He's like, so I think she ended up getting suspended or fired from her job. It's like, yeah, you act a fool out here and you work for somebody, there's always going to be some sort of consequence, especially if you're on a video that goes viral in a negative aspect. Like if this video goes viral, I don't think my employer is going to care that I'm just giving my perspective on the media and whatnot. I'm not saying anything derogatory about anybody. I'm not saying anything derogatory about any governments or corporations because I have nothing. I know when I talk about politicians, I'm not talking about the government. I'm talking about the positions. Because from what I see lately, I just see a bunch of clowns. I think like regular working people that work in organizations are the ones that are getting things done, but the elected officials have proven just to be clowns, and regardless of what state or party that they're in my personal opinion. That's why I say I'll leave it at that. I can't pick a side. If it's like watching two children argue. I'm an adult. I'm not supposed to be picking the side when children are arguing. Like when we're having adult conversations, I'm from the old school. The kids are supposed to go to the next table. They ain't supposed to be involved in grown folks' conversations. But like I said, unfortunately, the 80s babies, I'm an 80s baby. The 80s babies parenting that style nowadays is let their kids run amok and do whatever the heck they want. So, but what do I know? I digress. I'll leave it at that. I keep it simple. I always get cotton mouth when I'm starting to talk. Excuse me. I like some good old ice cold water. All right. Anyways, but the whole today's forecast, we're all going to die is these things happen all over the place. Do I condone them? No. But carjackings, cars being stolen, it's all over the place, and especially in the major cities. So you have to be careful. And I'll leave it at that. All right. You got to be careful and you got to be on your game. Okay. Now, this was interesting. Today's forecast, we're all going to die. This is an interesting article, Um, it says anyone else decided not to have kids. This is on Reddit. This was as of 3 years ago. So this was during the pandemic days. Kids, because you can't afford to. A lot of people can't afford to have children anymore unless they decide, unless they're getting money off of the state or unless they have like 3 to 4 families living in one spot. But a lot of regular working people cannot afford to have kids anymore. And even if they can afford to have kids, they're scraping by and they can't afford a medical emergency. They can't afford a home emergency. They can't afford a car emergency. Some take into consideration. Anyways, article says me and my partner, mid-30s, have decided it will be too much of a financial struggle to start a family. Wonder if anyone else is in a similar position. A few years ago, we thought we might be in a better position by now, but no, our salaries have stayed exactly the same while our living costs have gone up. Now, before I go forward, that's where we're at now. This is back in um, November of 2020. So this is during the pandemic days. Okay, a good chunk of the country still locked down. Cost of living was starting to go up, and even in today's world, we see that the cost of everything has gone up, but most people's salaries are not going up. So a lot of people are barely scraping by, or a lot of people are living off of their salaries and credit cards in order for them to get by. And you're having the highest amount of credit card debts, non-payments, defaults, and in history in the United States of America. So that's the one thing that we have right now. Okay. But let me read some more before I call it a night. Anyways, all right. We both make they stated, and I quote, we both make good money. Good. We're both very good with money. Have never had any more of a had more than a couple of hundred quid in credit card debt, but have been leached by expensive London, or they live in the UK, which is way more expensive than the United States. London, South London, England, rents over the years. Our work really is only in this region. Some of our friends have had a lot of financial support from their parents so they can have kids. Others have been stung by childcare fees and the unexpected general cost of kids and have racked up a lot of debt. I know priorities change when you have kids, but there's really nothing we could physically cut back on. It's sad, but I don't want to be a stressed parent. I grew up in a poor home, and it's taken me 15 years to get to a point in my life where I'm not constantly panicked about how little money I have. I dread having that feeling again, and potentially with a young child. Um, so this was interesting because this is where we're at in a lot of places in the United States of America. It's like people cannot, um, like the idea of having a child for a lot of people nowadays, it's considered to be a privileged thing. And I always say we live in a time now where I really stress the young people. I really stress the young people that are in their teens and early 20s to, if you're going to have sex, just be as responsible as possible. I'm not ever going to tell somebody not to do it, but I'm just going to really say be as responsible as possible. I was, and I don't have any kids now, but I was when I was younger because I saw what my brother went through. I saw what other members of my friends and family went through when they could not, when they were struggling and scraping to get by with having a bunch of kids or just having kids. Period. Not focusing. I remember people thought I was crazy when I worked 2 to 3 jobs, and they were like, "Oh, you must have kids." I was like, "No, I don't have kids." And they looked at me like I was a crackhead because they were like, "Okay, you don't have kids." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have kids." Um, and you're not struggling. I said, "No, I'm not struggling." Then why are you working all these jobs? I said, because see, the thing is, when I was working all these jobs, and I the people, men and women that I would encounter working the same hours as I was working 2 to 3 jobs, they were doing it to get by. They were doing it. They were doing it to some were doing it to go to school. They were using their second income to pay for college, but majority of them were doing it because they needed to pay for. They had the amount of bills that they had, the what is it, child support, things of that nature. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I'm not knocking what somebody's gone through. What I am saying is that me personally, I'm just like, yeah, when I was in my early 20s, I'm like, yeah, that's not sexy to me. That's not looking really good right now. I'm not really feeling that kind of energy right now. So I was very responsible in that aspect. And now that I'm in my 40s and I see the way the U.S. economy has been going for the last couple of years, I'm actually happy that I made those righteous decisions or whatnot, especially with the baby mama and baby daddy drama that I've seen lately. And it just seems to be getting worse, especially with a lot of people just having no couth, no restraint, and just no freaking class anymore. And we just gonna be honest with it. So a lot of people just be like, I'm gonna say and do what I want. I'm gonna brag and boast and put out all your information on social media. So yeah, that's why it's like I'm definitely at that point in my life where the circle is so small that it looks like a little dot, of the people that I allow in my life. But anyways, that's all I have for tonight, family. Today's forecast, we're all gonna die. Number 6. Um, I think people in general need to just do their best to take it one day at a time, and stop trying to worry about all these freaking titles. Lord have mercy. Get out of this high school mentality where you need to be accepted by society. Be who you are. As long as you're not trying to kill nobody and rape anybody, molest anybody, be who the heck you are. I really can't put it any other way. So on that note, do the great thiefy things, like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. If you're a stock market investor, crypto investor, individual retirement account investor, don't forget to check out WEBULL, Stash, Acorns, Crypto.com, Coinbase. With all those platforms, you'll be able to make some money moves. And as soon as you signed up and all that great stuff, and go from there. On that note, I'm out. I'll see you next month in regards to today's forecast. We're all going to die. I will go live again either this weekend or next week once again, but I will not be going live. But I'm out in LA unless I'm just going live on Instagram because I don't. I've learned to not, unless I'm going to be gone for a week, there's no point in me taking all my equipment with me when I go travel. Just got to pay more money for the baggage. So on that note, take care. And as always say, make money moves or you're going to live broke like a fool. Take care. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully, you're having a great day. If you've been watching Larry's Anything Goes programming, you know that we are not only providing great financial intelligence content as much as possible by interviewing other financial professionals, professionals in the travel industry, real estate industry, etc., and so forth, but we provide various services when it comes to specific products that we sell, from anything that you would actually find on Amazon or actually at Walmart, etc., and so forth. And we are actually providing specific products due to today's current crisis and whatnot, to ensure that we provide the right services and products that you need at a reasonable price when it comes to medical face masks, when it comes to hand sanitizer, and when it comes to latex gloves and things of that nature, and etc., and so forth, toilet paper, paper towels. But we have what you need. Also, family, don't forget that Larry's Anything Goes is a part of an affiliate marketing network known as Gold Standard Partners, where you have the opportunity to buy cryptocurrency and allow others to invest with you as becoming an affiliate marketing partner. And obviously, if they purchase a package with the program, you're able to make money off their package purchases and make money off of their crypto purchases and things of that nature. If you want to join, please follow the links in the description, and I'll give you a call as soon as you sign up and purchase a package, and we'll go from there. But definitely, it's all about the best way to make money moves is to have currency with one another, and to ensure that currency is always being spoken of on all levels, so it benefits everyone and not just one specific person. That's a lot of things that people forget about. So think about joining the program, and we'll be able to go from there. But if not, either way, it's always appreciated. And thank you for watching. And hopefully you guys have a great day and continuously make money moves so you don't live broke like a fool. Take care. As you can see, with our various products, we have our financial apparel, as you see, wearing There's Anything Goes t-shirt, financial intelligence is sexy, face masks, latex gloves, things of that nature, to obviously ensure the safety of you and your family all at the same time. We want to ensure that you get the best products and see the actual products that we're actually providing for you, and giving you another view of not only the shirts and the medical masks, but actually another view of actual latex gloves and the actual hand sanitizer. Because one thing we've learned throughout this unfortunate crisis is that we have to take more precautionary measures to ensure not only the safety for ourselves, but for our families. And having a great pair of hand sanitizers, latex gloves, and medical face masks will ensure that safety. And with all that being said, hopefully you guys will check out our online store. We have the various products that you see here. With a couple of clicks, especially if you're paying via PayPal, it makes life that much easier for you to purchase our various products, especially during this unfortunate situation. You see the apparel from Larry's Anything Goes. We have the medical products when it comes to hand sanitizer, latex gloves, medical face masks, and things of that nature, and various other products. So please check out Larry's Anything Goes. Support small local businesses. We greatly appreciate it, and hopefully that you have a good day.
Mike, now?